Learning non-metallic metal is like the magic step into having more control over how awesome your miniatures look. In this video, Lucas is showing you a simple and super effective way to creating a polished steel look on all of your miniatures. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to Squidmore Miniatures. I'm Emil. This is...
Lucas.
This is the subscribe button. So go click it if you haven't already. So are you ready to teach people how to do some true non-metallic metal stuff?
Yes.
I don't think we need to say anything more. Just bring out your zenithal prime miniature and let's get started.
The first step to this process is to give the armor a base tone to work with. For this piece, I used the contrast paint Terradon turquoise from Games Workshop. But you can probably use any bluish turquoise color that you want. And ever since the Fiverr series that me and Emil did, I almost always apply contrast paints through the airbrush.
It's such an amazing way to start a paint job to get some nice volumes and great color already with the first layer.
To get that nice consistency for shooting it through the airbrush, I add about 2 to 3 drops of airbrush medium. Now it's time to move on to the regular brush. I start off by preparing my wet palette with all the needed colors. Fenrisian gray, light flesh, sunny skin tone, and a dash of ivory. And now it's just to paint.
Hold up there, Lucas. I'm just gonna quickly explain what we're gonna do. We're gonna work with one main light source, which is the sky from above. This one is going to create 2 or 3 reflections on the armor. And it's going to get darker the further down we get on the body. We're also gonna add some secondary reflections on the chest. And then create an environmental light from the bottom right side. Maybe she's standing by an early morning bonfire before the battle starts. And don't forget, the closer we are to the light source, the brighter the reflection is gonna be. And with that, Lucas, you're welcome to get started with the painting.
Couldn't said it better myself. Now begin mapping out all the highlights and reflections using Fenrisian gray, adding these with sideways strokes. I begin doing this with a layered consistency. And right away, I make sure to paint some nice scratches and dots in there.
And when he's done with his first layer of Fenrisian gray, he glazes with the same color in between the contrast paints and the Fenrisian gray. This is to blend the 2 different colors together and to make super smooth transitions.
This makes for a super nice blend without actually having to be that smooth. This is something I like to do when moving from a really dark color like the Terradon turquoise to a fairly bright color like Fenrisian gray.
And if you want to check out the miniature or any of the tools or paints he uses in this video, we've got all of that listed down in the video description and on squidmore.com. On some surfaces you might want to go in with a second dab of Fenrisian gray if you don't have the full coverage from the first one. Focus this on the very center of your first highlight. That adds to the effect of the transition being smooth, as well as adding to the coverage, making it look a lot better.
And once you've mapped out everything with Fenrisian gray, you can gradually start to add more and more sunny skin tone to the mix. I do this until I reach about a 50-50 mix between the 2 colors. And again, don't shy from adding some small scratches and dots.
If you start adding scratches at this step already, it's going to look like the scratches have different depth.
And in the same way as in last step, I use a layer consistency and then glaze over it to create a smooth blend.
Also notice how he's always moving from left to right, creating a texture where it's not just a smooth blend, but you actually have strokes from the left to the right.
And once you've reached that 50-50 mix, you've achieved somewhat of a greenish yellowy tone. This will look super good in the end, helping create that nice atmospheric light like it's coming from a sun. But now we're gonna move in with some more light flesh. And what I like to do here is to start off with about a 60-40 mix with the light flesh and the previous mix. Then painting until I reach full 100% light flesh. always making sure to leave the top parts brighter than the bottom parts, meaning that the light flesh covers a rather large area on top, but a rather small area down at the skirt.
And remember, for each layer you add it to a smaller surface than the previous one. This is what creates the gradient between the dark shadows and the brightest highlight reflections. And you can see at the bottom how small a surface is adding the light flesh to. It's pretty much just on the edges.
When I'm done painting all the light flesh, I move on painting some small dots of ivory in the reflections, making sure I only paint them in the biggest, most topmost reflections.
And while he finishes that off, I just want to thank all of the awesome patrons that make sure that our salary is paid every month. You guys are amazing. Special thanks to the top patrons. I have no idea what we would do without you guys. So Lucas, you're done with the steel?
Yeah.
Now you're just gonna paint the light coming from the orange sensual fireplace.
We mean some nasty fire and flames from the depths of hell.
And speaking of red, do you guys remember this big juicy subscribe button?
Moving on to painting the OSL. A really neat trick to find out where the light would go is just to create a nice bonfire from Emil's backlog, and then just place the mini in the light it casts. But seriously, this is not a bad idea, apart from the bonfire. A while back, Emil did a video about OSL, and I strongly recommend you guys to watch it, as he covers some really nice tips and tricks. One being just to take your flashlight, slapping some red film over it, and blasting it on the mini. And now you have a really nice reference for where your OSL would be. When I paint my fire OSL, I always begin by blocking in some Evil Sun Scarlet. I tend to do this with a watered down glaze so that I can control the intensity myself. And when you've mapped out all the Evil Sun Scarlet, it's now time to move on to the Troll Slayer Orange. I try to cover up almost every bit of Evil Sun Scarlet with a Troll Slayer Orange. This is because we rarely recognize red as the main color of a fire. It's mostly orange. Therefore, we want the OSL to be orange.
Don't be afraid of creating reflections of flowing embers and dancing flames on the armor. You can create this by using orange dots or some irregularities with the painting brush.
And when we're painting the gold, we're doing the same as in last step, painting with a layer consistency and then glazing to get it smooth. Sun yellow, Scrufulus brown, Rhinox hide, and a dash of ivory. I begin with the Scrufulus brown. I cover almost every single bit of gold, leaving only the parts I know will be in shadow. I then paint some Rhinox hide in the shadows, creating a nice smooth blend between the two colors. I then begin mapping out all the reflections. I gradually add more and more ivory to the Scrufulus brown, until I reach pure ivory.
Lucas starts by adding one main reflection to the gold to get a feel for the volume. To make the miniature look more realistic though, just like with the silver, we want to add a secondary and a tertiary reflection, so you'll see him adding that to almost all of the gold surfaces as we go. And once he's done with all of the highlights, he's let the paint dry. He's coming in with the sun yellow, glazing it in between the shadows and the midtones to really make it feel like a shiny gold. And with that, the armor looks just insane. Seriously, Lucas have done an amazing job. It's also his first time ever to do a voiceover, so be kind towards him, leave some awesome comments, let him know how much you appreciated it. Maybe smash the like button to the bejeebus out of here, because he's gonna need it. But now it's time for the grand reveal. And if you want to have a high-res photo as a reference, we put it down in the video description. And don't forget to leave questions if you have them in the comment section.